You'll enjoy these award-winning videos from Performance Video. Break through with paddling technique secrets from Olympian Scott Shipley. Learn to master the strokes and concepts practiced by the top rodeo and slalom pros. Go ahead and break through to the next level. Performance Sea Kayaking. Explore hot paddling technique, rescues, and basic seamanship so you can enjoy your time on the water. Whitewater self-defense helps kayakers avoid trouble and deal with unexpected problems. Learn practical solutions to dangerous predicaments. Get prepared with whitewater self-defense. In the surf, go to the next level of confidence, control, and excitement. Feel the speed. Get in the surf. The Kayak Roll is presented by Dagger, wherever there's water, and Paddler, the #1 paddling magazine. With the support of Bomber Gear, when you're set to go off. Kokatat, exceptional design and fit. Watershed, what do you want to keep dry? And Werner, the ones you see on the water. Your paddling will improve most rapidly, and you'll have more fun if you have the confidence that your roll is reliable. A successful roll requires the correct performance of a few simple body motions. With proper technique, rolling a kayak is effortless. However, the motions are very counterintuitive, and you've probably never had to learn anything upside down in the water.
We're going to teach a sweet version of the roll that most paddlers do. And we'll utilize a unique step-by-step system that's sure to have you rolling quickly. We emphasize a fluid roll, an effortless roll, and a roll that keeps your body in the protected position.
Years of experience teaching has proven that this roll works very well. The technique works as a tune-up to a shaky roll, and it provides new paddlers with a safe roll, similar to the one experienced boaters rely on. It's a very safe and protected roll, because your torso stays near the surface and moves smoothly to an upright position. This roll protects your shoulder from injury by keeping your arm in front of your torso, and by utilizing the large and powerful knee and torso muscles that help right the boat. Because this roll is smooth, quick, and fluid, it works well in a variety of conditions, from huge surf to serious steeps. This roll works for many different body types, from the young and Gumby-like to those who are stiff and not as flexible as they used to be. Some other rolls require a wind-up that can be a challenge in a deep, wide boat. But this roll technique starts the boat rotation immediately, so it excels with any boat design. We know that other excellent rolling styles and teaching progressions exist, so if you know one, set it aside while you learn this roll. With an open mind, you'll be best able to learn this easy version of the kayak roll. In time, you'll build on this foundation to incorporate your personal style. You'll find this roll to be adaptable. You can finish at 90 degrees to the boat, or scull forward to finish over the front deck. The easiest version to teach has a unique finish position that is gentle on the body and reliable. It's a style that's easily learned and easy to tune up for any body type and in any boat.
The roll is easy, it's effortless if you do it correctly. It's not about strength, it's not about power, it's all about finesse and technique. It's about getting your body relaxed, getting good extension away from the boat, allowing the boat to come up underneath you, because that's what brings you up out of the water.
Watch the roll from the setup through the fluid motion which rolls the boat to the finished position. Here's a different view. The setup, the synchronized torso twist and boat rotation into the finished position. In the Kayak Roll, we'll show you a set of drills that help you learn an effortless roll. You'll start by doing boat rotations, learning the setup position and the finish position, learning the sweep, then putting it all together, gradually going deeper into the water.
It might look like the paddle blade is doing the work of a roll, but that just isn't so. In fact, the more force you apply to the blade, the less likely you'll develop a reliable roll. So instead, use a fluid torso and knee action to right the boat. Let's examine the knee action first.
What allows me to roll the boat upright is my connection at the knees. An efficient roll uses one knee at a time. If I raise my head, it results in engaging the wrong knee, and that pulls the boat over on top of me. This is the knee, the rolling knee that I want to use to roll the boat upright. In order to do that, I have to leave my head down so that I can pull that knee up. It's the same thing on the water. To effectively roll the kayak, I want to use my connection between this leg and the boat to push this edge to the surface. But my instincts have me lifting my head, and when I do that, I engage this knee and the boat falls over.
Lifting the head is a common cause of a failed roll. Going for air means that the knees are not working to roll the boat. Keeping the head positioned correctly assists the rolling knee in righting the boat.
The foundation of the roll is understanding how to get the boat upright underneath you. The key is using your body rather than being dependent upon pressure or support from your hands or the paddle.
To simplify your learning process, we'll start by isolating the upper and lower body actions that roll the boat. This drill is the first step of relaxing and learning the effective yet counterintuitive motions that roll the boat. The ideal is to practice with an instructor to give instant feedback so you develop correct muscle memory.
I want you to put your hands in mine, just nice and relaxed, and bring your head over onto your hands like you're trying to take a nap. And then we're going to just bring the boat over on top of you and just relax. Now I want you to use that rolling knee underneath to just gently twist the boat up. Beautiful. And then let's bring it back over again. Just let yourself float. Twist it up again. Awesome. Very good.
You can also practice boat rotations on the bow of a friend's boat. It's not preferable, but you can also learn the same motion on the side of a pool or a dock. If you must practice this way, imagine that your fingertips are resting on eggs that will break if you push too hard. Also, keep one shoulder or your face in the water so you avoid lifting your torso and head. Be precise, because only perfect practice makes perfect. The next step of boat rotation practice is centering over the boat by sitting up slowly while keeping the head down. Sitting up too quickly develops bad habits.
Okay, Eric, now I want you to go ahead and pull on that rolling knee and bring the boat up. Oh! All right, you could feel how much you were pulling your head. All right, this time what I want you to do is turn your face into the water and blow bubbles as you pull on that rolling knee. Okay, you got to keep that head down. Great. Okay. All right, turn your head, blow bubbles, pull on the rolling knee. Great, Eric. As an instructor, it's really easy to sense how much pressure a student is putting on my hands, and I don't allow that. I want them to learn the right body motion. Now, once that motion is ingrained, we can work on recentering the body over the boat. So this time, Eric, at the very end, I want you to think about pulling this hip up and sliding that left hand towards that side of the boat. Light on the fingers, blow bubbles, roll the boat. Excellent.
To isolate the boat rotation and to simplify the learning process, we've been teaching you boat rotations with the body at 90 degrees to the boat. Next, we'll show you how moving the body generates leverage to roll the boat.
You have two choices as to when you roll the kayak. You can go ahead and sweep your torso out to 90 degrees and then roll the kayak all at once. Or you can go ahead and as you sweep out to 90, use that leverage that's generated so that by the time you're here, the kayak is upright and you're done.
Just moving your body out to this point generates a lot of energy in this knee. And ultimately, it's that energy that we're going to use to roll the kayak.
In the roll technique this video explains, you start righting the boat as soon as you leave the starting position. The righting action uses the energy generated as soon as you start to move your body. Your natural body tension links your shoulders to the knee. As you initiate the paddle movement, the rolling knee brings the boat upright. So when you move your body out along the surface, the boat is going to start to roll. We've seen how the boat rotation comes from activating the correct knee. Combining that with the correct torso motion provides the basis for a quality roll.
When you're totally comfortable hanging out underwater, you can do smooth and fluid boat rotations with very little pressure on your hands. And you're ready to start learning with the paddle. We'll teach you the body motions required in the roll.
A quality setup is the foundation for the roll. The purpose of the setup is to orient and protect you and get your body and paddle in position ready to roll the boat. An experienced kayaker is going to be able to roll on either side. But to begin, it's easier to learn one side well. We'll start with the right blade forward.
In the wet exit, the student learned to tuck forward to stay protected while underwater. In the setup for the roll, I'm going to ask her to lay her paddle parallel to the side of the boat with a flat front blade, and I also want her to modify her tuck by bringing her chest over the outside of her thigh. This is really important. It also allows her to push her hands well into the water so that when she's upside down, this paddle is going to be above the surface.
To curl your body up into this setup position, do a sit-up to pull your head and torso up to the outside of the setup thigh. Move your torso to the side. Check that your head is tucked to outside your thigh. Then you can get your forearms on the side and the blade flat on the surface. Don't tuck forward for the setup. Tucking straight forward makes it more likely that you will pull in the wrong direction. Instead, you want to curl to the side so you can move the blade in the correct direction.
When you're upside down under any conditions, it's really important to feel these same spots on your forearms against the side of the boat, because that's what gets your hands and the paddle up out of the water where you really want them to be.
The blade has to be on the water before the boat can roll. So once you have the entire paddle in the air, place the front blade on the water. Hold the paddle very lightly in both hands and wiggle your fingers. A tight grip translates tension to the rest of your body, making you more likely to pull the blade down, which will hurt your roll. Instead, think of a gentle grip, like holding the shaft between thumb and forefinger. Being underwater can be disorienting, so learn to find the setup position no matter how you flip. To review, the setup starts with your head to the side, with your forearms against the boat. The blade is floating on the water. Loosen up your fingers, feel cool air on them before you start the sweep. Be patient. The setup is the foundation for a roll that works, so perform it exactly.
Check out this finish position. My torso is twisted around and I'm looking down the shaft. The backhand's at the shoulder with the elbow jutted forward.
Finish position is your target as you come out of the water. To help you develop a smooth and resistance-free rolling motion, we teach an exaggerated blade angle in the finish position. Your knuckles should be curled back to the shoulder with your elbow jutting forward. As you are learning, you'll find it handy to use this finish position as a checkpoint, so you can be sure that you've used the correct form.
What I'd like you to do is close your eyes and take your body to that perfect finish position. Excellent. Now open your eyes and you can see that you've brought this spot on your chin to the spot on your shoulder. You can see the stern of your boat. You've shed the resistance with your paddle and your hands are nice and loose on that shaft.
This finish position will help you avoid painful shoulder injuries. Shoulder injury is caused by the instinctive action of lifting the head while pulling down and back on the paddle. In this position, the shoulder is most vulnerable to muscle tears or shoulder dislocation.
At the beginning of the roll, your shoulder is well protected because your elbow is in front of the chest. To keep your shoulder safe throughout the roll, twist your torso while watching the blade.
To protect your shoulder, you have to twist and watch the blade. Any shoulder pain is an indicator that something is wrong, so take some time off and refine your technique. If you finish rolls with your hands off center, you'll be off balance. Recenter your body by sliding the blade in. You can also lift your hip. Taking a stroke will help you recenter. Once your roll is reliable, you'll learn to quickly react, to get rebalanced and on your way. Here are the key points of the finish position. Your torso is twisted around, you're looking down the shaft with your hands loose, your knuckles are curled back to the shoulder, and your elbows jutted forward, and your hands are centered on your body.
Now let's study the movement that links the setup with the finish position.
Effortless rolls are done with the blade angle neutral throughout the roll. With your hands loose on the shaft, think of letting the paddle blade float across the surface of the water.
Visualize this. In the perfect roll, the flat blade of your paddle is just gliding over the surface like it's slicing through whipped cream. No pressure, no resistance, no nothing.
A climbing blade angle causes many paddlers to muscle their rolls, finishing with a lot of pressure on the blade. This leads to a failed roll or a less desirable and exposed finish. Resistance on the blade causes you to lift your head, which disengages the rolling knee. Too tight a grip can also lead to the blade diving if the wrist and torso steer the blade towards the bottom. Remember, effortless rolls are done with a gentle grip, so the blade angle can stay neutral throughout the roll. When you're upside down, the normal tendency is to pull down. But underwater, that results in the paddle going to the bottom, and you feel a lot of resistance on the blade. This illusion of support kills the roll. Instead, use your torso to sweep the blade away in a wide arc.
When the paddler is upside down, we really want to avoid them pulling the paddle towards the bottom because they're using just their arms. So we're going to try and get your entire body involved in this. And think about the torso, the arm, and the paddle, all as one unit. That's it. Feel all that pressure on this knee? That's what's going to roll the kayak when you get upside down.
Think of the blade floating on the surface in the setup, then slicing through the water to the finish. You can practice a false sweep. This false sweep exercise may help you relax, move the torso in the correct direction, while you keep the paddle gliding lightly near the surface. As you move away from the setup position, it's important to apply pressure only to the rolling knee. You might even drop the other knee to keep it from interfering.
If both knees are pressuring the thigh braces, it can be very difficult, if not impossible, to roll the kayak. Before you even start your sweep, I want you to think about dropping your non-rolling knee out of the thigh brace a bit. This will ensure that only the correct knee is pressuring or activating the boat.
Extending the torso out starts the pressure in the rolling knee, then twisting the torso finishes the boat rotation.
Twisting the torso moves the blade and maintains the pressure on the rolling knee. Let's first take a look at how moving the shoulders will move the paddle. Go to your perfect finish position. Twist forward. Notice that the only reason this paddle moves is because his shoulders are turning. Now let's take a look at how twisting the torso maintains the pressure on the rolling knee. Twist forward.
This twisting motion moves your body and blade to the finish while you maintain pressure on the rolling knee. This initial extension out away from the boat activates the rolling knee. Then the twisting action continues the boat's rotation.
Pressure and resistance on the sweeping blade make it impossible to do an effortless roll. If at any point you do feel pressure, it's very easy to dump that resistance, and that function is controlled by the back hand. Let's take a look. Beautiful.
So, the back arm is critical because it keeps the blade neutral across the water. The back arm takes a smooth, continuous motion from setup to the finish position. You can practice moving the back hand from your lap to the finish position with your knuckles back and elbow forward. Eliminate the feeling of a strained roll. Shed the resistance. To review, the sweep moves the blade gently, as if it's floating on the surface, from the setup to the finish position. The sweep involves relaxed hands and arms, starting in the correct direction, maintaining pressure on the rolling knee, twisting your torso to move the blade, and rolling your backhand back to touch your shoulder. Synchronize the setup, sweep, and finish position. When you do, you'll be rolling consistently. Basic steps to learning the roll include doing boat rotations, practicing the setup position, and the perfect finish, learning the direction of movement, rehearsing the false sweep, and twisting at the torso, then putting it all together, gradually going deeper into the water. Your goal is to develop the correct muscle memory. Work on your roll no more than 20 minutes at a time. Finish a session on a perfect roll or drill. It's normal to back up a few steps to reinforce correct muscle memory. If you get 3 in a row wrong, stop. A day off often helps your muscles absorb the memory and timing. Don't be discouraged. Every person learns the motion at their own rate. To develop a bomb-proof roll, practice. First start by rolling in calm water, and then take it to slightly more challenging conditions. When that feels reliable, try flipping and rolling with your blade helped by mild current. You can practice turbulence by changing setup sides underwater, flipping with one hand on the shaft, and sprinting before you flip. Or you can have a friend provide turbulence. The quality of your roll is a direct reflection of your setup. Always go to the proper setup position. Many rolls fail when paddlers omit that step. Be calm, have a mental checklist, and a mantra of any key items that make your roll succeed.
It's nice under here. I think I'll go to finished position now.
Flexibility and range of motion. Always check the water depth and wear a helmet anytime that you might need it.
So are you ready? To warm up, let's paddle around a bit. Then you'll be set to roll. If this is your first exposure to rolling, you might want to turn off the tape here and return later with fresh muscles and a clear mind. In the ideal world, the progression we've shown you will have you doing an effortless roll in no time at all.
He's dreaming. In the real world, the counterintuitive nature of the motion, combined with different learning styles, can cause problems to spring up along the way.
If you want to tune up your roll or help others to learn theirs, you're going to want to develop a really big bag of tricks.
So in this diagnostic section, we're going to share with you a bunch of solutions that we found to be really, really effective.
If you're helping someone roll, you have to decide when to support them out of the water. Support helps them relax and hear your instruction. However, it's also important for the student to practice the correct setup position without assistance. They can then do false sweeps with no pressure on the blade. When you help, you'll find it best to stand behind your student. You can hold their life jacket with one hand and use your other hand to adjust or prompt their motions. Don't hold the paddle in such a way that they become accustomed to using it to get right side up. Instead, whenever possible, show them the correct direction of movement and have them perform it. Your student may experience more than one problem, but keep in mind they can only focus on one solution at a time. Your students tend to underperform each motion, so you'll find it useful to over-exaggerate the goal. This strategy will help your student achieve the ideal.
Beautiful.
Often a student needs review of a drill previously covered. Frequently that means doing more boat rotations for a reminder of which knee gets activated. When helping someone through any drill, be fanatical about keeping their pressure light and their head down. Perfect practice makes perfect.
A perfect setup will help you develop a reliable roll. Failing to get into setup can be caused by fear, sensory overload, or simply a surprise flip. The exact body and blade positions are important in the setup. Common problems include setting up tucked straight forward, allowing the blade to wander, holding too tight a grip, or seeking resistance with the blade. Figure out and address the root problem.
Falling out of the setup frequently occurs at the point in the progression that the instructor lets go of the student. The setup needs to wrap up to the thigh by keeping the setup knee engaged. When you learn, you may want to check the blade orientation by doing a short false sweep to be sure the blade is neutral, or by feeling the blade floating before you roll. Ultimately, you can learn to recognize the blade orientation by the feel of the shaft. When you're upside down in a kayak, figuring out which way is up can be a challenge. Imagine your friends hold a target bar in place so you can reach to get the sweep above that bar. Think of the paddle floating. Only you can pull it down. A mask can help with disorientation, but it's rarely necessary.
Visualization of the roll is difficult, so instead, focus on muscle memory.
Occasionally, paddlers with a small, flexible torso or high float PFD have trouble flipping over. If you do get stuck, raise your head to pull the boat over. Another solution is switching your head to the other side, for instance by going to the other side setup. Misdirection of blade movement is another common problem.
Okay, I want you to pull up against my hand. Feel that pressure? That's the incorrect direction. That's what we're trying to fix. Quite often, a person's instincts cause them to use only their arms, creating a lot of resistance as they pull down on the paddle. We want the student to think about their shoulder, arm, and paddle extending out away from the boat, all as one unit. We can also place our fingers against the back of the lead hand, give them something to push against. That helps create that same muscle memory. Now we're going to go ahead and bring you over upside down, practice those false sweeps that we worked on. Here we go. At this point, I've told the student I don't really want them to think about rolling up. The purpose of the drill is to get good loose hands, good extension away from the boat. Quite often they roll up without even realizing they're going to. If they feel me pulling on their torso or PFD, that lets them know that they need more extension out away from the boat. Nice job. As they sweep their body away from the boat, I like them to visualize the paddle just gliding over the surface like it's slicing through whipped cream.
If your hands have stayed tight on the shaft, that encourages you to seek resistance and defeats the roll.
It's really common for people to grip their paddle too tightly. This translates through their forearms to the rest of their body. I like to shake the paddle to get them to loosen their fingers and release that tension. Then they're not as likely to pull down or stress their shoulder during the roll.
How many times have you watched a paddler lift their head during a roll attempt only to hear someone yell, "Keep your head down"? Lifting of the head is often a symptom of a much different problem, resistance on the blade. To fix this, we first want to make sure that the student has a clear understanding of what we mean by resistance. So I'm going to pin the bow of his kayak and ask him to take a stroke over here so that he can feel the pressure on the blade. Next, I'm going to ask him to do the same thing, but this time a third of the way into the stroke, I want him to move his back hand into the perfect finish position for a roll. The difference between pressure and shedding resistance will be obvious. Here's a drill I like to use to reinforce muscle memory in the back arm. I'll put mild resistance on the paddle shaft here and ask them to twist this back arm up into the exaggerated finish position of the roll. Resistance can start as early as the setup. Any kind of a climbing blade angle can prevent the paddler from being able to move out in the desired direction. Remember, if you feel resistance, shed it. Try this. Grab a friend and sit on the ground and get yourself into setup position. Have them press against the back of your front hand and push out as hard as you can. You'll discover you're not very strong in that direction. For this reason, a climbing blade angle can be detrimental to the roll and result in pulling in the wrong direction.
Think of floating the paddle across the water with a neutral blade angle. Climbing blade angle hurts the roll. Climbing blade creates resistance and leads to pulling down on the blade, pushing on the feet, and leaning way back. You can save a roll even up to the last second by dumping resistance. Each paddler has a unique wrist and blade angle relationship that will change through the roll. Rather than dictating a wrist position in the setup, we prefer the student focus on finding the sensation of no resistance throughout the sweep. We teach to control the blade angle with the backhand. However, controlling with the front hand is also acceptable. Punching puts pressure on the blade, which makes the roll feel strained.
We have seen that lifting the head is a symptom of resistance on the blade. Punching is a common cause of this resistance. Punching can also lead to a sinking front blade. Here are some tricks to eliminate the punch and help get the back arm on the correct path to the perfect finish. In one scenario, you'll see the student punch up with a straight arm. I like to take a small object like a river rock, place it in their armpit, and remind them to hang on to it during the rolling motion. You'll also see them punch forward with a straight elbow. I'll ask them to think of an imaginary object, such as a $100 bill or a set of car keys, and have them clutch that on their way to the perfect finish. Another solution to punching is to physically touch their back hand and this shoulder and remind them to bring them together as they roll up to the perfect finish position.
An instructor can use their hand to control the backhand, or in desperation twist the shaft at the end as a gentle reminder.
As we've shown earlier, raising the head kills the roll. The head weighs a lot and it puts pressure on the wrong knee. So to help your students keep twisting throughout the roll, have them keep their eyes on the leading blade or hand. Great, good job. Another solution is to take your own watch off and put it on your student's leading wrist. Now his goal throughout the roll is to watch the watch. Nice. You can squeeze the student's hand to have them twist their face in that direction. A kinesthetic approach would be to touch your student's chin and ask him to twist that towards a spot on his shoulder throughout the roll. You might also ask your student to blow bubbles throughout the roll. Lifting the head can be caused by punching, resistance on the blade, or lack of torso rotation. Be sure to address those issues.
Like a good detective, experienced kayak instructors are always looking for clues to help them diagnose a problem. If the boat's not rotating, chances are it's related to how a student is using their knees.
If the paddle sweeps to 2 or 3 o'clock and suddenly goes to the bottom, the student is now pulling with both knees. So to fix this glitch in the sweep, have your student aim to finish out their twist by hitting you with the blade. Remember, each knee is involved at a different time in the roll. You'll use the setup knee as you curl into proper setup. Then switch your focus to the rolling knee. You can also activate the knee with extra emphasis on the shoulder driving out away from the boat. It may help to imagine the blade extending out at an angle, and then continuing on the correct path through the roll. In this right side up drill, if you take your body out to the side, your boat wants to fall over. You get a different view of how the roll works if you turn your TV upside down. When you take your body out to the side, you pull the boat over. So when you roll, it's as though you fall right side up.
If the boat stops rolling, I'm going to look to see if the torso is continuing to unwind. And if it hasn't, I'm going to refer back to the twisting drill we did earlier. Nice. With special emphasis on the elbow pointing at the opposite knee. I'll follow that up with having him think about pointing his chest to the sky and unwinding so that it points towards the surface. Sometimes what I'll do is reach under, grab the opposite shoulder to make sure it continues to unwind as he rolls up the boat. I'll also remind them to look down the shaft as they unwind fully and hit me in the hip with the edge of the blade. Awesome. Sometimes to have them unwind fully, I'll have them envision the wide arc of the face of a clock and ask them to twist till 4 o'clock. If they're consistently underdoing it, I may exaggerate and ask them to go to 5 or even 5:30. Ideally, we want this roll to be perfectly synchronized. We want the boat to start rolling the moment the sweep leaves the setup so that it will be fully righted by the time the torso and blade reach the finished position. Let's take a look at several common timing problems. Delayed boat rotation is when the student's boat stays passive during the first half of the sweep and the finish position ends up near the back deck. Here's a quick cure. Have your student engage the rolling knee the moment they think about twisting their body out to the side. Yeah.
You may also see someone's back blade is hitting the side of the boat. They need to roll the boat out of the way sooner.
Another timing problem results when the gliding blade travels faster than the boat can roll. Remember, it's the boat rolling underneath you that brings you up. So it's very important to match the speed of the sweep with the slower pace of the rolling boat. Have your students slow the speed of the sweep. Often I'll have them do it half as fast as their prior attempts.
If you feel the roll is good, but you're still off balance at the end, shift the paddle and lift your hip. While we've been emphasizing this finish position, don't stay in this position for long. Instead, sit up, take a stroke, and rebalance. The roll we've been showing you is best described as a low-resistance, twisting sweep roll.
Yeah.
The emphasis is on twisting the torso and minimizing pressure on the blade. This is a unique version of the sweep roll. It should not be confused with other variations.
Equally skilled instructors enjoy endless debates on the relative merits of various rolls. We encourage learning other styles. Here's some of the other variations that you'll see and that you may want to learn.
You have lots of options how to finish a sweep roll. If your timing is well synchronized, you can probably finish at 90 degrees to the boat. Taking the blade a little further back is fine, as long as it's guided with torso twist so your shoulders remain protected. One variation of the roll involves sculling forward at the end of the roll. The extra sculling motion of this roll requires precise blade control. By continuing to the front deck, you get a low, protected profile if you don't make it. Another variation involves less torso twist. The torso continues in a smooth arc over the back deck on the way to upright posture. This lowers the torso weight, so it's handy for people with a large and heavy torso. However, taking this to the extreme leaves the shoulder and face exposed.
There's a school of thought that advocates finishing the roll on the back deck. The thinking is it lowers the rolling resistance of the kayak. While this is true, it has some big problems and safety concerns. This position removes the larger muscle groups from the rolling action and focuses the energy on the smaller, more vulnerable muscles of the shoulder. Should a roll fail, the paddler's face is now exposed. In this position, the ability of the knee to assist in the rolling action is greatly reduced. The paddler recovers in an unbalanced position, requiring more time to assume an upright and offensive posture.
A rodeo roll is a great option in deep water. Like most rolls, it requires careful attention to technique to protect your shoulder and face. A common style of rolling is the C-to-C. It's often taught because of its cookbook nature. The C-to-C requires quite a bit of flexibility and a tall torso. In a wide, planing-hulled boat, it's a challenge to do correctly because of the difficulty of getting the backhand near the center of the bottom of the boat. The deep hull of a sea kayak can also be an obstacle to a textbook C-to-C. Some paddlers prefer to do a C to bow deck roll. These can all be excellent rolls if there's minimal pressure on your blade and shoulder and if the roll works reliably for you. There are lots of other rolls you might enjoy, from hand rolls to trick rolls.
We're sure you'll enjoy this sweet version of the kayak roll. Learn it, tune it, and teach it. But above all, have fun.